Pantheon. This is our little fun game that we're going to play until we get it. So we're just going to redo. Rise Pantheon, and then I'm going to say Xin Zhao Renekton or Xin Zhao Nar. Or if it's Xin Jace, maybe it's better.
It could be Xin Jace. It could also be Jarvan and Jace.
Ooh, the JJ.
Yeah.
Get a bit of the JJ in there. I wouldn't mind that either.
So
maybe a bit more up in the air for the rest of the picks.
Let's make sure these bans remain the same as Varus comes through.
Yep.
And then the Seraphine. And so it looks like nothing is being altered here in terms of the draft. And so the Azir will come through. And then you're looking at like the Jarvan, right, which would deny a potential Sivir follow-up, which is incredibly strong with Rise. So I think they will likely pick it over the Xin Zhao in this draft.
That is not a Rise. I mean, it's still a Pantheon. We'll take that.
It's a good lane into the Azir.
Yeah.
So that feels pretty good. But that changes the stake of things and the shape of things quite a lot. I think now you're a little bit more interested in that Xin Zhao pick that you were talking about.
I actually really like the LeBlanc for closer just specifically, right? Like, this guy is such a good assassin player. There's that Jarvan you were talking about.
Yeah, they do.
J4 Jace sounds pretty good to me, and there it is.
Okay, well, even with Fearless, we're still in game one, so these drafts can often be predictable. Interesting the Rise doesn't go over, but let's see if they want to look for a top pick here to answer this Jace. They could just go for the Yorick right away if they want.
That's what I'm kind of expecting. And then Pyosha can kind of play around side lanes really effectively with a composition like this. We know LeBlanc does like to sit in a side lane. She does have all of that mobility, and there is that Yorick that we were talking about. So a lot more playing for split push, things like this on the DN Super side. Definitely a lot of team fighting here for Nongshim, although Jace can certainly obliterate turrets if given some time in a side lane. But just against the Yorick, you'd expect later on in the game, he just will not be able to hold a candle to that guy.
I think Bard is very high stocks right now in this draft for either side. Perhaps just a ban here for the supers on it because it could set up the Azir really well. Sivir will be banned against Nongshim Red Force, which makes sense because they're the ones with the Jarvan. And it would do wonders for controlling the mid lane into a very strong 1-3-1 composition that may eventuate here with this LeBlanc and Yorick.
Yep, not able to actually pick themselves as well with the Jarvan over their side, so it does make a fair bit of sense.
I do think that picks like the Yunara kind of, like, they go down a little bit in power here for the supers because they have not the best team fighting composition. They have a little bit of pick, right? They have a lot of side lane pressure, and Yunara needs a little bit of setup to actually succeed. They are going to ban the Lulu anyways here. Nongshim Red Force are.
Takes away the Dr. Aphelios angle as well, which I kind of like. Although this isn't really a team fighting composition, I imagine Dr. is probably angling closer towards something like an Ezreal in a situation like this.
Ezreal feels great here. I even think something like a Lucian could work really well in this draft, where you just kind of go a little bit even more all in on your burst potential.
Wouldn't mind it.
It's a little tricky, obviously, into the Jace, but it is a great escape into the Cataclysm, so something to consider, although it hasn't been very popular as of late. We'll see if there's just another range support ban here on that Bard I was talking about.
Could be a Nami as well. I think Nami pretty strong at the moment.
Yeah,
just
Nami,
get a winning lane.
And Nami, Lucian both powerful, but the Ezreal you mentioned is what they opt to ban instead.
Pretty smart. I think that Dr. would have headed towards that just because this composition looks like he's not going to get a lot of peel. So playing something with that added level of safety that the Arcane Shift provides certainly going to be a good idea.
There's a lot of options here in game one for AD carries. I personally still lean towards the Lucian lane, but Corki also fits the bill. I think those are the two big ones for me. Something like a Caitlyn could absolutely work, and that is kind of the side angle they could go with this one. Gives you a pretty sustainable lane down there where you could play through top side, play through your Yorick, and the Caitlyn will just be fine.
And Jhin going to be picked up into it. I believe we saw this yesterday, although I don't like it. Jhin Bard, though, it is a tale as old as time.
Really,
Lahen's going to pick it up.
Prefer the Bard ban to the Nautilus ban, especially if they're going to play a Caitlyn lane here with all the great follow-up they have with this Nongshim lineup here to the Tempered Fate.
I want to see what Peter's going to do. Maybe they have an answer, a response. It's just Nico. And he is a fantastic Nico player. We know that that is, you know, how they got to the World Final in 2025 was largely because Peter was so good at this champ.
It's just better Lux right now.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you know, Nico has the same root, but it's even stronger, arguably. And not to mention her ultimate is just way more impactful in team fights. And you could have gone Lux here and be like, all right, Pantheon stun somebody. I just press Q, but that's kind of an older style of League of Legends. Nico is just so incredibly powerful, so good with her shapeshift ability. It just has so much more utility than the Lux, and the shield from Lux is just pitiful. Please just update Lux. Like, come on, what are you doing, Rito?
And Caitlyn Lux is a very fun lane as well, so I'm a bit sad that it does not
like
really
what's going on
anymore.
with like Morgana and Lux just being completely irrelevant. You know, we made Yumi irrelevant, but she's still kind of around. But like Lux, Morgana, maybe a little tuning could be fun. I'd be into it.
Yeah, we might be able to figure that out. We'll just have to send an email. Maybe just a strongly worded email, not an angry one, just strongly worded. We'll do that.
This looks like a pretty simple team fight composition here for Nongshim, but Taeyun's on the Jhin. We've discussed this a lot recently. His performance will be important, but for me, it's like closer pops off, but this comp doesn't win.
I would agree, and there's also like the elephant that needs addressing, and that is Pantheon got through, and Pyoshik's playing it. Let's see whether he flips heads as we get into the Rift for game 1. Ooh. A little bit of danger potentially at the beginning here, but here we are onto the Rift for the first game of the final day of the week.
Level 1s are kind of coming back a little bit.
Like, they have to be very quick, but once they do get there, they do start doing stuff.
Yeah, like look, the jungler's going to get back in time. Totally fine.
Very, very
it's okay.
Well, Sponge going to be starting on his bottom side by the looks of things.
Look at that.
Yeah.
His early level 1 gets the ward up and still gets right into the Raptor camp. Just exactly as he wanted to.
Oh, look at Doctorm charging that headshot and lands his first Peacemaker. Beautifully done. I don't feel like the Jhin is necessarily the answer to the Caitlyn. I know a lot of people have been picking this up, and it's been doing okay in lane. Unfortunately, after everything's said and done, you're still Jhin, which is not great.
I think the Bard has to do the real heavy lifting in this lane.
Yep.
Electrocute needs to be procced repeatedly. Lehens needs to be hitting those Qs.
And I mean, at the same time, they have other carries, right? There's a Jace, there's an Azir. We were talking about 3-threat comps. This is absolutely one of those. Well, or 2.5, I guess, because Jhin doesn't do anything. I've got to stop with the Jhin hate.
Well, I was on it super hard yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know. But like, it wasn't even about the Jhin as much as like they lost, and then I kept saying, well, Guma can't do anything here because he's playing Jhin, but Doctorm may be in trouble.
Yeah, Magical Journey to come on through here. There's the flash, gets the stun, the knock up as well from Sponge. The barrier was there, but Doctorm is still dead. First blood goes to the Bard. They use everything for it, but they get everything in response.
Huge win here for Nongshim, because what I was about to say is you talk about triple threats, but they have triple losing lanes, right? And fortunately for them, Sponge is able to make this early pathing work. Triple flash invested, but they get a kill.
Oh, Peter almost killing Lehens here as the Blooming Burst almost hits him for a third time. Would have been a difficult moment there for the Bard. But Pyoshik looking to come down and punish Taeyun because he doesn't have flash. Pyoshik does. I think it's likely that Taeyun is just dead here. Thankfully, Lehens does make it out. But I just don't know whether we're going to see Jhin alive. And there it is. Pyoshik just takes one turret shot, and then he's able to go back home. Speaking of going home, Scout had to flash in the mid lane in response to Closer. There are 4 flashes down on both sides of the Rift. Top laners, get it together. Just flash on the spot. Come on, guys.
It was Riot's dream when they, made summoner spells. They're like, maybe everyone won't take flash all the time. Unfortunately here for Doctorm, his flash
sick Cosmic Binding.
Yeah, his flash angle there with the Cosmic Binding is just not going to save him. Gets stunned up regardless.
Got very silent Taeyun, after the kill went over to him as well, you saw.
Like, Lehens is at 0 health, and Taeyun wanted to finish pushing the wave in. Is a little greedy here. Pyoshik has red buff. He tries to do some fancy footwork here to dodge the Q. But, I mean, let's be honest, he was dead no matter what.
Yep. And Pyoshik on the board, and obviously, as a Pantheon, you're very happy to get some early kills. Start snowballing. Speaking of which, though, Sponge looking for an opportunity. Doesn't get the knock up onto the LeBlanc, which makes a fair bit of sense. She's relatively mobile.
So now we're back to 3 losing lanes here for Nongshim.
Well, I mean, Dudu's got something to say about that, as the Yorick is starting to feel a bit better. But I think we'll never really have the push, which is your point.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, like, eventually Yorick is going to be a little bit annoying to deal with, especially if any jungle attention goes up there. And because they got that kill on Taeyun, this is no longer a lane that Taeyun can continue to really pull the tempo on. As we're going to go back to this flash trade here in the mid lane.
Oh, lands the chains. Really nicely done. That would have been a kill without the flash, so really nicely done from Closer, who is looking aggressive once again. Pyosik making his way in, no flash on Scout, no Emperor's Divide either, as the chains will connect, and over the wall goes the Pantheon, and Scout will be going down. That's Closer grabbing his first of the game, and the DN Supers off to a brilliant start, as now Kingen just kind of on the other side of the rift.
Yeah,
feeling a bit awkward there.
For Nongshim, they didn't really deny that much farm from Closer. He was able to secure that one and then come over here and catch most of that wave. Actually finds himself a whole wave ahead of Scout. Scout here really pushing the issue pretty far without vision in his bottom side river. So this is really the main problem here. He has vision of the Raptor camp, which might have told him that, you know, Pyosik wasn't there. And he just barely gets caught by the chain there from Closer. I think was dead either way, but might have had some wiggle room there if he wasn't. And yeah, I mean, this probably would come to a mild shock to many, right?
Does it have to be a Jarvan there, though? Couldn't it be just any champion? I'm pretty sure Pantheon has not
one game.
Has he lost? Who was it against?
I cast it yesterday with Valdez. It was... Who did he lose to? I cannot remember, but I'm sure someone will tell me.
I'm assuming that it wasn't Pantheon's fault. Let's just say that. I think this champion is very, very strong at the moment. Scout going to take a fair bit of damage from this LeBlanc, who makes her way back again. Chain's going to connect, and Closer looking for some more abilities. Doesn't quite have Distortion back off cooldown yet. And Sigil of Malice not going to be doing enough. So Scout going to have to go back, and Closer is really starting to work this snowball in this lane. It's fantastic work. It's exactly what the LeBlanc needs to do. You need to make yourself into someone that needs multiple people to take down.
I think the main thing about the Jarvan stat that you see there is it's the most common matchup because these are the two most commonly early picked junglers in drafts, right? And the Jarvan answer just has not been working when they've been giving this pick over. So Pyosik is happy with the lead that he currently holds. Same with Closer, and we're going to look for a bit of a dragon contest here. Duckdom does not have the faster rotation, but they're just going to walk holding hands up.
Well, there's a snare onto the hands. He's going to have to try and take the magical journey out. Does manage to do so, but this should mean that the crab goes over to the DN Supers, and maybe that dragon you were talking about as well. Pyosik hitting that level 6 also. This is very dangerous times. Taeyun does have his flash back up and available once again. But Lehen's now without the heal. Means that the bottom lane as well for the DN Supers feeling pretty good at this point in time, despite the slight CS deficit.
We're dead even in gold. It's just really scary that LeBlanc has this lead here right now, whereas the Jhin having the lead doesn't necessarily amount to as much. You look at the inventory of the Jhin right now, it means nothing in terms of lane control. He's going to back now and change that story a little bit with the Dirk pickup. But, you know, let's see if Nongshim can win a fight.
Oh, no! Dudu was trying to take care of the Maiden, and he got punished. This was our biggest point of criticism against this guy.
I know.
Well, at least he was trying. Is going to now put Kingen into the Ghoulie wall, but Kingen is going to be absolutely fine there. You're pretty good at taking down the wall as well as the Jace.
I do think that it's really important that Nongshim were able to deny Dragon, even though they didn't win a fight there, weren't able to get the Scuttle Crab. The fact that the Dragon's still alive, there's maybe another chance for them to make a play for that. Scout's Flash is coming up soon. Might be a bit of a saving grace for this early game, as the composition here for DNS, if they lose control of the game, they're going to have big problems later on. For Nongshim, all you really need is either one team fight or one objective that buys you a little bit of time to where you can avoid the next objective. For example, if you can give up a dragon later on, that feels fantastic with this Azir Jhin. Jarvan set up here. Have really good team fighting, so I just want to avoid falling too far behind, as Kingen is falling behind himself.
Yeah, man, he's really having to deal with a lot of Ghoulie walls here as Dudu gets booped back and says, nope, I'm not flashing after you. Just going to take that fantastic trade for the Yark, and just with steel caps, he is feeling very strong in this lane.
And Nongshim are actually going to get these grubs just underneath that Yorick exchange.
Yeah, looks like the trade is just going to be for the dragon. Understandably so, but denying a Yorick these grubs is actually kind of a big deal given the fact that they do look like a composition that would like to play sides.
Absolutely. I'm really impressed that Kingen did not flash there, and Dudu was like, okay, I guess he realizes he doesn't need to. I'm not going to try to force it, as the Yorick having flash later on can be a huge threat. And we do see Chemtech Soul. Nope. Or sorry, Chemtech Drake, excuse me. So a good
not
soul
gonna
is
be
really, yeah, is what I
Chemtech
mean
soul,
to say.
beautifully.
It's not the Cloud Soul here, so that's a little sad for you, but could be a very impactful soul, or it could be Ocean. Which
It's Ocean 100%, isn't it? I mean,
No.
it would be. It's just the rainy day vibes.
It's acid rain vibes.
Yeah,
Oh no!
it's not it.
Oh god! It is supposed to rain potentially later tonight.
Yeah, and the fact that it's supposed to rain over the next couple of days, right as cherry blossom season has started. Oh, it's very depressing.
Petals on the floor.
Yeah. We managed to go out yesterday to check them out, so we've managed to cross that one off the list. Show Chester his first cherry blossoms, which was very fun. But yeah, we may not have too many more. And if it's an Ocean Soul, it might actually be saying, in fact, it is going to rain and it's all over. And that would be sad.
Ooh, that would be sad.
What would be the soul that could redeem the whole situation?
Any other soul.
Any other soul? Okay. Maybe Infernal Soul.
Infernal is just kind of
deny
like, yeah, it dries up all the rain.
Yeah, perfect.
And
then
Itsy Bitsy Spider lands at least in game 2, yeah!
Oh my god, it really is the double dad broadcast! Oh, it's doomed.
Oh.
Okay, Pyoshik up here towards his top side of the map. I was thinking might be helping Dudu out, but it's just Kingen playing very respectfully at the moment and is falling behind about a wave for now. The Yorick doing exactly what it says on the tin. Maybe it is the year of Dudu. Maybe I was wrong.
He is having a good time so far. The call will cash in eventually for Kingen, and he is going to be such a huge threat to DNS if they have map control, because DNS have to be the ones who are aggressive. They have to play through the LeBlanc, and while they're trying to find those flank angles, while their Shock Blast rain down, eventually DNS kind of get whittled down and have to make an aggressive engage and have the best team fighting composition. It's not impossible to team fight, but there is a Yorick, so there's that.
Yeah.
And if the LeBlanc isn't ahead, which she is still ahead at the moment, then she's not going to offer too much in a team fight either.
Does have first item completion here for Closer as well.
Oshik has ult, so this could be a bit of a counter gank here if they commit.
Looks like the opportunity is Dudu. He's going to miss the morning mist. There's the go button pushed by DNS as the flash comes out from King, and Sponge still trying to make his way over as Dudu is in a bit of trouble. Pyoshik taking matters into his own hands. There's a flash forward from Dudu, and now Sponge finds himself inside his own Cataclysm. The avoidance from Dudu, just gorgeous. And Sponge does make his way out, but it's just a free kill over to DNS.
Yep, Pyoshik goes first. They're able to suss this out. He goes in early. And Kingen flashes, but Pantheon just does so much damage. Duckdom avoids a Tempered Fate.
And avoids, that's his own trap, but he also gets out of the way, as now Duckdom down very, very low. Pop Blossom connects, and Lahens was tanking up the turret. The last shot was already in the air. And unfortunately, the flash does not help him out of that one. It's a disaster for Nongshim on both sides of the rift.
DNS looking fantastic in this early game. The Pantheon is working out, but the bottom lane is not working out for Nongshim on the opposite side, so they're losing on both sides of the map. As you go back to this, Dudu decides to push in here. The Pantheon ult comes out. Kingen is in this awkward spot now where Sponge can't reach to help him out. Maybe if he had tried to play towards Sponge, there was
I think
a little
flashing
bit more.
towards the Jarvan could have been a better option.
I think that's probably what he should have done here, but Sponge just does very little damage as a Jarvan at level 8 here, whereas Pantheon does insane damage in the early game. And
I think if you had hit that Q, though, like the fact that Dudu avoids it was a huge deal. I think otherwise they go 1 for 1. Or maybe they go 1 for 2 and he has to stick around for a little bit longer. It's Closer. Just managed to solo kill Scout earlier on in that play. So there's just, we're in replay central right now. As that flash, man, that was so close to being okay.
Luckily, Peter also flashed, so, you know, I guess you got that one.
Could have been worse.
Peter also thought the turret hadn't fired yet.
Yeah. I love a little bit of could have been worse.
It's not the biggest gold lead that has ever been seen.
The problem is, Wolf, there is a Pantheon. And Pyoshik is about to hit the mid-game where he's just going to very happily play around a LeBlanc and a Yorick in a side lane.
Let me entertain the thought of the Nongshim comeback, all right? Come on.
No, you're allowed to do that, absolutely.
Look,
I'm just saying that it's going to be even more impressive when they do it.
Yes, Scout's got some heals here. Lahens is making the global impact. I do think that if they can secure the Herald here in 90 seconds with a really good play from Scout, you know, big Emperor. Okay, well.
Lahens going to have to... He does manage to Captain Jack himself there, but Pyoshik just smites him down.
And he's got his smite for the dragon as well, so... Okay, look, okay, so what I'm saying is, if they can get this Herald, if they can get the Herald, then they can maybe open up mid.
I really like the attempted optimism, Wolf. This is, I feel like it's a 2026 new thing that you're trying on.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm
I mean,
a big fan of it.
You know, in 2022, I think was the year where people were the most upset that I would say games were over at like sub 15 minutes. And then I just kind of.
And now you're just a complete denier of a game ever being over.
I pretended in like 2023, I was like, you know, I'll try to seem like I'm not going to say the game's over, but 2026 Wolf is like, it ain't over till the Nexus explodes.
Yeah.
I saw KT versus T1 and that's a kick up, and I'm a changed person.
Yeah, there we go. He's figured it out.
So let's see what happens here. But like the Herald, if it goes over to DNS, I think the game is actually just straight up over because the mid turret goes down. LeBlanc can do whatever she wants at sides and threaten mid. And Kingen is in trouble.
Yeah, Pyosik gonna come and just do it all again. No flash available. Kingen is just dead. Dudu on the board now as well. 2-0-0 on the Yorick, and he already had his Trinity Force completed. Looking for item number 2 now, and it doesn't get better for Nongshim. This is the problem. The Yorick was about biding his time anyway. He's just managed to get there sooner than he otherwise would have wanted to. Like, they're gonna need 5 people to try and take down this guy in a side lane. As at least they do manage to lock down Peter here, and he is not going anywhere. It's a very, very dead Nico. They give the kill over to Taeun. That is good news.
You lost first brick, but Herald is, they don't lose the game instantly.
Yeah, there you go.
Assuming the game is not over already, which for some might be a bit of a stretch, not for 2026 Wolf. I'm like,
2022 Wolf would definitely be saying that it's very over. You would have already walked away. You're having lunch somewhere at this point.
No, I would have been
It would have been a very late lunch. Because it's like 5 p.m. over here, but still.
I mean, in 2022, I was I woke up a lot later than I do now as well.
Absolutely. No, that's a.
I eat breakfast now.
Who are you? I do too. Weet-Bix every morning. It's the best. Okay, Scout now just taking so much damage from Closer. He lands the chains, and there is Pyosik with the stun to lock down the kill. He'll tank up the turret there comfortably at the same time, and
Scout saves him.
LeBlanc is the only thing that dies.
He pushes him out of turret range, so he actually gets away.
This has all of a sudden got completely out of hand. This game, the DNS Supers are just running away with it.
The caster feedback on Reddit for this is going to be like, I think Wolf needs to be calling these games a little bit earlier.
I think 2022 Wolf was right.
All right, well, Scout here.
It's a beautiful combo from Closer.
It's great from Closer. This Emperor's Divide is very comical because it helps Pyosik survive, but he got the clone. The turret got the clone.
Yeah. They did kill the Maiden after this, so it's not all bad news. That's 50G.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Good news is Taeun is still ahead on Jhin.
Yep, there we go. And he's managing to lock down Pyosik here as well, who does get a bit of a stun onto Sponge. The Aegis is there as well as, okay, Closer just gets in to die, but there's the Pop Blossom to take down Taeun. Peter now in a bit of trouble as well as they look to try and turn it onto Doctarm, who does have the barrier. There's the Cataclysm. They both flash away, but it's Doctarm that goes down, and Nongshim, a great answer here as Dudu is just breaking their stuff.
He is definitely doing a number to their structures, but at least they win a team fight, and Taeun's lead gets a little bit bigger. Yeah, and that's going to be another turret falling down here in this mid lane as well. For Nongshim this time around, going to be their first of the game. And with the turret down in the mid lane, you know, Scout has a little bit more flexibility when he comes in for these flanks. There's a lot more freedom for the Jhin in the mid lane. As this initially looks like Pyosik might have actually just won the game by putting his shield up because he's like, buying time, buying time. And Taeun is like, well, I can't shoot faster, so...
Yeah, and Closer dashing right into a Cosmic Binding was not exactly what they wanted.
Not really his plan. And unfortunately, Doctarm just kind of sent it as well. So this was a bit of a disaster here for DNS, but Nongshim found the initial pick, and then they held their ground. DNS, I think, did not expect it as Closer's looking for another angle here. Yeah, Mimic Distortion does go on through, as it looks like that chain was not broken, but it indeed was. And Taeun is going to be okay after all. 1,000 gold the lead here for the Jhin, but the same can be said for this LeBlanc. Closer sitting at 3-0-1. Kingen's going to transform his Muramana. He's going to be on 2 items. There you go. That's something. Dudu also looking for that second one, but his are a little bit more expensive than Ghostblade Manamune. And we did get the Infernal Soul, so everything's okay. It's not. Hey, there we go. Oh, man. That's it's really good news for the Cherry Blossoms. I did see, you know, when I looked at the hourly weather report and I brought my rain jacket, it was like 40%, 50% around like 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So maybe it just doesn't happen now.
I didn't bring my umbrella, which is really like that's bad news, because normally if you bring the umbrella, it's not going to rain, you know. But I didn't, so it's almost definitely going to. That's working against us.
Well, Nongshim do not have any dragons, but they're looking poised now to start their first, as they do have King in here faster than Dudu, who does not have TP. See how many shock blasts he can land before this fight begins. They're going to hold the dragon aggro.
Yeah, and you can see Dudu trying to make his way around. He's going to take the long way.
Closer.
Yeah, Closer could be in a little bit of trouble. There's the Tempered Fate. It's only onto the LeBlanc, but Pyosha going to start off this fight onto Sponge. In the meantime, Dudu fighting against King, and there's the Pop Blossom as well from Peter. They do just get themselves out of the way, but it looks like Nongshim have been pressured out, and it should be the Soul Point going over to DNS unless Sponge can get some sort of crazy steal. It's not going to happen. Doesn't even go for it. And now Taeun, buddy, what are we doing? Why are we here?
He's trying to sneak out. He got found. He is going to run away for a minute. So that's kind of annoying.
He is. It's taking him a while, but finally the double distortion does come in. Mimic comes back off cooldown, and Closer just puts him out of his misery.
All Jin mains, including Degon on the space, no doubt, were like, does he kill him there? And Closer's like, no, of course not.
As it turns out, from my experience, Jin barely ever kills him there.
Yeah.
In any instance.
Hold on, was that his point? No. He dies.
Unless it's Jackie Love at Worlds 2 years ago.
Initially, it looks like Closer's made a big mistake, right? He gets caught here by Taeun and then gets Tempered Fated, but Tempered Fate is used in this moment, and they can't follow up. Pyoshik is actually defending really well here. Sponge gets pushed away, and Closer pushes Taeun out. He flashes into the enemy team, but doesn't have any utility here. Like, he has his ult, but he's not going to use it. The fight's already over, so he's just kind of on the wrong side of things. They lose dragon control.
Taeun just really looking for a safe place to go home, and it does not work out. So a little bit unfortunate there. Almost.
I think this is kill. No.
No.
It's not this last shot anyways.
Yeah, he was optimistically looking for a bit of an angle. Dr. Arm also with a very unfortunate purchase, hasn't quite been able to put together his Infinity Edge, but is very, very close. And having a look now, the DN Supers hold on to a gold advantage. It's not exactly looking linear at this point in time, as Nongshim did manage to get that team fight to bring them back towards gold parity, but now it's moved back towards 2.5k and Soul Point, which is the big deal with a composition that wants to play around sides. And that is precisely what you want.
It doesn't matter that the Caitlyn is 1,000 gold behind, because she's not the main point of this composition. It's the side lane champions who are massively ahead of their counterparts, and now Dudu can even afford to tech in some MR, because he knows the real threat damage-wise is going to be this Azir, who's 2,000 gold behind, which is kind of ironic. Dudu?
Yeah, Taeun going to come on over here as Lahens holds him in position. Kingin diving on top. It's going to take a bit of killing to take down Dudu, but they should be able to do it. There's the heal, and Kingin will survive. Pretty barely, to be perfectly honest. As Closer being frustrating here in this side lane as well. Should be able to grab this plate before he leaves, and there it is.
So it's a pick, but does it really mean anything when there's no objective to take? Really, I mean, they can't start Baron here.
They were incessantly pinging Baron.
Yeah. They were
this is what we could take if it was last year.
Yeah. Also, Dudu has TP, so if they tried it, he would be able to come in and shut them down. Closer had that push in the top side. Only gets 2 plates off of that inner turret, so definitely a nice swing of gold here for Nongshim in the exchange, but not as relevant as it could have been.
Well, Magical Journey will be able to get Lahens to relative safety. It looked a little dicey there for a moment. Midwave is just going to be dealt with as DNS looking to get vision back around this Baron that was removed. Closer should just be able to take him down here, though. Never mind. Sponge was over the top. Spear not going to connect. There's the flash. And Closer is able to lock it down. It's a solo kill in the end, actually, even though everyone was around here. There's a Pop Blossom onto the Wolves. Those Wolves never saw it coming.
No, they kind of, I don't know, maybe they did. King's going to look for a trade back.
Yeah, and Closer is going to pop back and just get killed by Sponge. Down he goes, 1,000 gold to the Jarvan. And DNS suffering a lot at the end of that one. In fact, as you can see, 1,000 gold is going to be taken away from that gold advantage. So in the trade, it's not quite worth it. As Lahens, I mean, he's been dying a fair bit this game.
For just a moment, Sponge had a gold lead, as he's the one who picks up the 1,000 gold shutdown. As initially here, Closer gets this pick, but the rest of the team isn't able to really defend when the follow-up comes through, as he flashes for this and then distorts back in. Pop Blossom It does not work out. It's Blast Cone. Valdez is angry. And he has to distort back here, so Sponge is just waiting for him. There's nothing he can do. Unfortunately for Taeyun, he does not get the kill, but he's already massively ahead. Would have loved 1,000 extra gold on top of that lead, though, I imagine.
Yep. Has 3 items now completed. Still doesn't really have the one that makes him do big damage, but that should be coming in relatively soon.
And speaking of relatively, it's Jin big damage, so, you know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Doctom, though, he's only on 2 and a bit, so still going to be looking for rapid-fire cannon and then some armor penetration, things like this.
At this point, rather than talking about compositions, I really have to kind of just... We got to pull our magnifying glasses out for our eye test and be like, are DNS able to execute this? Because I'm starting to wonder. They definitely don't have the lead they used to, and some of these Scrappy fights have been a little bit laissez-faire, let's say.
With an Infernal Soul, I think they might be able to do it. That's going to be up in 5 seconds. A Pantheon will always be able to make his way in, as Taeyun does manage to get the Deadly Flourish on to Dudu, but Dudu had just teleported. He's got a big ol' shield, and he is feeling absolutely fine. Level 16 to the level 15 of Kingen as well. As Closer looking to try and jump on top of the hands once again. Doesn't land the chains. That is a lot of poke damage already.
They have a lot of
for the Bard to walk up.
Closer is ultless, but with all that damage done and this setup with the traps, it's very difficult for Nongshim to actually close this gap. Taeyun's ult is back available.
And they can pull this one out as well as Flag and Drag from Sponge.
Hey, where are you going?
Oh, God, he really loves the north part of the river. That's what he's been doing. The curtains have been called now as he misses the first one and then cancels it. There's a Pop Blossom, connects onto only one, and that is going to be the Infernal Soul over to DNS. It's a kill for Pyoshik as well. As the Cataclysm falls down, they did lose Peter, but they'll take that trade any day of the week.
And Scout doesn't even ult in the fight. Just cannot get into position to make a relevant setup happen. The traps were down. Taeyun was trying to prove that Jin could be played melee. He survives, which is really impressive. But like, look at the trap angle here. They can't really move forward. Taeyun.
Maybe he just didn't know that Dudu was there.
Yeah, there was no vision in his defense, but generally a very aggressive position. And he's Jin, so he's like, maybe I can make an impact with my ult. It's just too slow here. And Sponge goes in after this kill goes over, so he just gives more gold, and Scout just cannot actually get close enough to set up the Empress Divide. I think the trap placement was the main problem for Nongshim there.
Yeah, the setup really, really good for DNS. And honestly, the DN Supers have just been better at playing out mid to late game than how they were in the LCK Cup. Even though they were able to take down Nongshim, arguably in those moments as well. When it was working well, but it looks like it's continued to develop.
It just doesn't seem like, even though Nongshim are playing mechanically well in these Scrappy fights, they're only 4 kills down, they're only 1,000 gold down, that they can get enough map control to actually team fight. And usually that's in a game like this because of insane side lane pressure from the Yorick and the LeBlanc. In this game, in reality, it's kind of just because DNS are setting up better and faster, right? And that's a big problem for Nongshim because they cannot really team fight when they don't have Prio, as we saw. Now they're going to start to fight for control vision and Prio over this Baron.
Yep, Ace in the Hole comes down there from Doctom just to try and soften up Taeyun momentarily. Closer, just being frustrating here, but Scout is going to spot him.
The poke gets a little bit more lethal with this Infernal Soul here for this LeBlanc, as well as even the Yorick is going to really benefit from it. But I kind of look at this game state now going, I'm not 100% sold on the performance of DNS here, and with just one mistake in this game, if Nongshim get this Baron, for example, I don't think they will, you know, Elder's on the cards in 3 minutes. It's a winnable game. It's only a 300 gold lead right now. DNS need to be careful.
The problem is what's being highlighted there on our screen, which was the very cool hat being put together by Closer. That on top of an Infernal Soul, oh man, that is so much damage that Closer is going to be doing. And even Dudu, I don't think that anyone can really answer him in a side lane as he approaches levels, 19 and 20. I don't know how you're supposed to really do anything about it. They should just have a lot more control. However, and this is a big one, we're now at Elder Flip territory.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's only 3 minutes away.
Oh, Doctom, yeah, possibly caught out here as Peter. I don't think he wants to save this one. It's the last shot. We'll take him down. Taeyun locks up the Caitlyn. Pyoshik also looking for an angle, but I don't know about this one as Taeyun very close to death, but is going to have the rest of his team there to save him. Dudu now with a big old shield is just trying to do what he can. And
this could be Baron.
Yeah, walking over wards, but Nongshim, I don't think they really care about the Pantheon. They want to take this Baron. Although they are wanting to take him down first, and they should be able to get the GA. There it is. Closer dashing on top of Sponge in a bit of trouble, but he gets snared. There's Pyoshik trying to do what he can, but it's Taeyeon that locks him down, and this should be Baron over to Nongshim.
I told you they were gonna maybe potentially come back in this game, like, you know, 20 minutes ago.
Anything's throwable, Wolf,
Yeah.
as we just found out.
Because Nongshim they're just punishing DNS, making egregious mistakes. This one's on Duckers. He dies, they're able to control the Baron. Now they have a gold lead, and they can use this Baron to set up prio for the Elder. As Duckdom's just trying to set up traps and just gets, I mean, you gotta flash those. Like, he flashes the Tempered Fate and just dives to the shot afterwards anyways.
Yeah.
But if you get caught there by the Flourish, you're just gonna die because they have such good follow-up. And this is just the end of that. Like, they get the AD carry. Closer is so huge, but he cannot win alone, especially when they're super split like this, trying to go for the punish play, which was Pyoshik trying to be a hero. Yeah, and Taeyeon is just not going to go down.
Yeah, he can't do anything. Closer can't do anything when they're grouped up as 5 as well. And now, minute and a half left until this Elder Drake does come up, and there is 2 minutes, a little bit more than that for the Baron as well. So Nongshim should be able to utilize that to get control around this Dragon area. Good amount of poke there coming out from Closer to make sure that Sponge does have to go back home.
If the first chain's hit, I think he might have actually popped his GA there. Still gets away with it though. Sponge, that is.
Ooh, cute little ward actually over to the side. There's the flash from Closer, dash cannon, and that's going to lock down King, and he is going to be... is that helping? I don't know. We'll have to ask Lahans afterwards. I think that might have just been delaying the inevitable, but still, I think he was definitely going to die, but now Tempered Fate is also on cooldown.
Yeah, it's not the longest cooldown, but we are looking at a 50 seconds until Elder situation. Nongshim don't have the Baron, so they can just use Prio here.
Teleport for Kingen as well, so he will be making his way in with that big old shield.
I think they can find their way into Prio for Elder, but they're going to have to play it well. They're going to grab this inner first. They have the Sun Disc set up already. Now they can kind of just kite back in. I don't think they should force their way through here, though.
Yeah, these choke points are actually kind of awkward for Nongshim because trap setups can be a whole lot more effective. Let's see.
TP in 20, Elder in 25. The margins are really thin here, but I think Nongshim are in a favorable position, especially because Taeyeon's been able to push this all the way to the inhibitor turret.
Yeah, it is a sacrifice here for DNS, though, as there is a stun onto Scout. He takes a lot of damage. The Morning Mist will connect as Sponge makes his way out. The curtains have been called, but there is not a whole lot of vision.
Scout's got to TP in as fast as he can. He is going to back. He'll be trading places with King in here for just a moment. The traps are set, though, and so DNS do get that prio. The setup is theirs. Sponge is on a bit of a flank angle, and he needs to find said flank as Dudu is the one who's caught.
Dudu is actually going to be taken down extraordinarily low, and he's taken out. Kingen going to lock up that kill. There's the Pop Blossom onto Scout, but the Tempered Fate going to be there to keep him alive. And Taeyeon's able to take down Peter. That's a great stasis there from Scout as well, as it's just a double. Taeyeon's popping off, and maybe I'm eating my words. Maybe Jin actually is a good champion.
Is he just going to get away?
I guess so. I guess he's just going to go and win the game.
Taeyeon's like, I wanted to get that. Where is he? Gets away with it, but I think he's just going to watch his Nexus explode as the rest of the team is pushing through. Baron has expired.
So
don't need an Elder buff.
Can the Grand Starfall actually kill the minions? That's the question, as Pyoshik wanted to take down the hens, but it's not quite going to work, and this siege minion is up and available. Peter making his way in, seeing whether he can do anything about this, but another wave is going to join them, and Nongshim, I think, should be able to take down these Nexus turrets and win the game. They were losing the entire time, but then DNS made that one fumble, and they capitalized. Nongshim walk away 1-0.
It was a tiny gold lead, and all it was going to take was one team fight, one big objective. You could see the swing of gold there towards the end. And then Elder's on the cards, right? And that forces this awkward fight for DNS that they could not win. They almost killed Scout, right? But almost isn't good enough. Scout did very little damage in this game and lost lane in a big way to Closer. But this composition for DNS had a bit of an expiration date, not in terms of its scaling. I mean, Closer still was incredibly fed and still made...
나 이거 살짝 크게 돌아. 나 캐틀 노프린다 이거. 아, 나 이거 요리 볼게. 야, 캐틀 보고 싶은데 이거.
나 여기 가줄게. 야, 바로 밀자 이거.
아, 요리. 몇 시야 좀? 아, 갈게.
쭉 밀자.
나 하나 빨았고. 아, 좋은데?
아, 더.
여기 아래 봐줘.
계속 다
캐틀이 없어.
끝날 생각하자.
나 이거 크게 돌아. 아, 미드라인 시킬게. 미드라인 가자 얘들아.